Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Lowkey Genius Podcast. I'm your host, Juvel Dulima, and today in the show, I have Nick Thompson, and let's talk about his journey. So, Nick, welcome to the show. Please tell
Thank
us a
you for
little bit
having me.
about. Yes, you're welcome, and I really appreciate you for joining me today. So, can you please tell us a little bit about the background? How did you start with your business?
So I hail out of Calgary, Canada, and I was born in England, but moved. My family moved here when I was very young,
Yep.
and I went to school here, and I went to college. I did ski racing. We're in
Wow.
Canada, so lots of snow, and I went to school in Toronto for ski resort operations and management. So I wanted to work in the ski industry. And I did that for about 10 years after I graduated. And my dad worked in the printing industry, and he ended up leaving the printing industry to work for the Winter Olympics when they were in Calgary in 1988. And after he finished working in the Olympics, he was looking for something to do. And so my mom and him were looking at small companies to purchase a very small company. And they asked my brother and I if we would join them and be their retirement plan. So buy them out and we would carry on. My brother said no, he is in the arts and doesn't like business. And I said, as long as it's got something to do with marketing, because when I went to college for ski resort, there was a marketing component to it. So I said I was very interested in marketing. So they ended up buying a very small promotional marketing company. I was the fifth employee, and that was in '96.
Wow.
And I know I'm aging myself, um,
At a very young
but
age, you get
yeah,
exposed to
I was
business.
26 when I went into that, and I started doing everything: warehouse, reception, sales, customer service. I did every position,
Yes.
and as to learn it. And 4 years later, my dad said, "I'm ready to retire," and I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm not sure if I'm
That
ready to
fast.
leave the company." It was very fast. So in 2000, I bought my parents out, or I started the buyout plan, and we switched positions. So my dad stepped down from being president and owner. I stepped in, and then he consulted with us. And so I joined in 2001. I joined an organization called Entrepreneurs Organization. It's worldwide. It's in the Philippines. I was there, as I said, in October,
Wow.
visiting the chapter out of Manila. And I joined in 2001, and that really helped me sort of start to understand what business was, how to grow a business, some of the best practices to put in place. And from 2001, for the next 15 years, I started growing the business, merged with a couple of companies in Canada. We acquired a bunch of companies. We started in acquisition mode. And I was just learning as I was going, taking all the concepts I was learning through being a member of EO and growing my network. And we ended up growing to around 350 employees. We
Wow.
over 100 million in revenue, and we were on 5 different continents, doing warehousing and promotional products for companies across the world. And um, just learning as I was going. I have no formal education in business,
Yes.
but I was always open to learning and getting feedback. And I think that's one of the biggest things that really helped me is if people said, "Hey, you're doing it wrong, and here's a better way of doing it." I'm like, "Great, give me more." And I just kept learning and learning as I was growing. And so it became quite a very successful company in that industry. And in 2007, we had a new board of directors, and it was a big company with, an executive team. And And I was one of 12 on the executive team at that time. I was arguing a lot with the board of directors because I didn't like the way they were treating people, and I didn't like how the directive coming from the board was to, cut this department, and I didn't like that. So I was arguing a lot, and I ended up not signing my
Mm-hmm.
employment agreement in 2017, and they just said, "Fine, leave." And so I was on the outside of my company, and ended up leaving it. And they don't exist anymore. They ended up claiming bankruptcy just prior to COVID.
Yeah.
And I went on to, I now have a company with my wife, and it's called VEA, VEA, and we do fractional remote staff for companies. So executive assistant, bookkeeping,
Yes.
marketing, management, all with North American staff. So we hire in mainly in Canada, and hire them out to companies in North America.
Yes.
One of the reasons I was in Manila as well is to visit a company that outsources a lot of, Filipino people to North America. And so we were looking at maybe expanding into outsourcing from other countries as well
Yes.
as we grow our service. Haven't done that yet, but we're looking into options. And so I
Yes.
run that with my wife today, and I also do business coaching now. So I take all the experiences from growing the big company, the good and the bad and the ugly, and teach other executive teams best practices and what to avoid. So
Yeah.
those are the things I'm involved in today.
Yes, that exciting, expanding. So looking back with your story, with your experience, so are there people who doubted you in business since you said you don't have any background with business, but you managed to start a business and manage a business? Are there people who doubted you by doing business?
Yeah, I think the worst person that doubted me was myself. Because when I took over the company, I was 26. I was young.
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
dealing with people that were much executives that were much older than me, and I really thought they would just look at me as a kid, and I wouldn't get the respect that I needed to
Yes.
do the business. So I went through a lot of personal growth, trying to find confidence in my own abilities, and that was the biggest challenge for me at that time. And I sought out, I looked for people, mentors that could advise me and help me sort of get over that confidence, the lack of confidence. And at the end, when I started to build the confidence up and understand that I am a professional, I know what I'm talking about in that business, I realized that that is the one of the biggest single factors for not being able to grow is your own self-confidence, understanding your own worth. And
Yes.
so I talked to a lot of people about that today. Is about you need to understand you have a lot of worth as an individual, and you need to speak about it more so that the more you speak about it, the more confident you get in speaking and
Yes.
understanding. We all have an expertise in something. I mean, you're building your expertise in podcast and bringing all this knowledge to the world. And so the more you do it, the more confidence you get, and then you can speak to it more.
Yes.
I did have a few people that thought that I would struggle a little bit in some areas when dealing with
Mm.
larger companies, and that's okay. It's just
Yes.
about learning. You know what? I'm going to make mistakes. It's about learning as we go, but always looking for the opportunity to learn. So how can I learn from that? I made a mistake. What can I learn? What can I change to be better? And just continually to grow myself. I have a saying that if you want to grow your business, you have to grow your people And if you want to grow your people, you have to first grow yourself. So you always have to be ahead of that growth curve. And so I would say, yeah, the biggest inhibitor is just what's going on up here.
Yes, exactly right. So
Yeah,
talking about the advice, so what's the best advice you've ever received throughout your career that you can share with us?
yeah, great. Um, so a couple of pieces of advice. And number one, um, at the end of the day, we're all human. We all want to be accepted. We all want to belong. So it doesn't matter who you're talking to. They could be a super famous person or someone that's like, worldwide known for being so smart. They have the same needs as you. And so we can speak at the same level as humans. Doesn't matter who the human is. And
Exactly.
so, my dad taught me that. He said, Nick, if you cut anybody in the world on the hand, we'll all bleed the same. It's red. It's the same makeup. It's got the same kind of DNA. We're all on the planet. We're all in this together, and we all just want to belong and be happy. And so that just made it really easy for me to talk to everyone that I come by. And I think it's just really nice that, hey, we're all human. We're all trying to get to a place of happiness, and it doesn't matter who you are. So that was one big piece of advice I got from my dad growing up. And he talked to everyone. We couldn't go anywhere without him talking for half an hour to an hour to, uh, the server at the restaurant or somebody on the street, or because he just believed so highly in our human connection. So that's a big part of who I am, and why I've always been in positions and businesses that are very human to human. It's super important to me.
Yes,
I would
exactly right.
say, yeah, and I would say the other piece of advice came from EO, and that is like always have. So you've heard of the concept, try and find a mentor, right? Someone
Yes.
that can help you. And one of the concepts that really helped me was try and have a network of mentors, because different people have different expertise in different areas. So have a mentor for your personal life, or if you like sports, a particular sport, find a mentor that's really good in that sport. If you want to grow your language skills, find a mentor that's really good at language skills. If for me, I wanted to find different business mentors. And you should have, sort of 5 or 6 mentors, depending on the things you want to get good at in your own life. So not just one, but try and find people that are really, and mentors, if they're a good mentor, they want to help. So asking
Yes.
is, don't feel ashamed um, or not confident enough to ask somebody to mentor you, because good mentors want to give away all of their expertise and information. So
Exactly.
multiple mentors was really helpful growing up, and I still have them. I still look for mentors as I continue to grow.
Yes. And you know what? I started this podcast with the idea because I really wanted to improve my communication skills.
Right.
I'm here in the Philippines. I'm not really good at speaking in English. I got a job before, and then but my boss sometimes joke with me because I can't express myself clearly speaking in English. So just last February I resigned from my full-time job and started my podcast, and then by using a podcast, I reaching out to any people I can bring on to my podcast so that I can talk with them and share my service. So, and the good part is most of them I just tell them the truth that I am doing this to improve my skills, so offer my service, and shockingly, all of them are willing to support me.
Amazing.
Just show what you got. Just
Right.
express what you want, and the more you do it, the more you will improve yourself. And one of
Fantastic.
my guests right there, he is a retired Navy and a leadership coach. he offered me a free leadership coaching worth
Oh,
$5,000. He is charging $5,000, but he offered it for me for free, and I was shocked, and I just accept it, and I am really happy. That's why I keep continue doing podcasting, reaching out to people, because most of the people I reach out, they are more willing to help. They
yes,
just need to, to get a message and ask.
yes, yes,
So, and as someone like me, I am just beginner. I don't have a lot of experience. Like what you have said earlier, we are all
yeah,
humans. That is
yeah.
one of the saying that I live right
Oh,
now,
great.
that
Yeah,
we can talk to anyone. Just have the courage to reach out and be
that's
honest
right.
with yourself, because
Yeah,
that's the number one thing right now. Because of the boom of AI, there's a
yeah, that's
lot.
right.
We are having a hard time to trust someone right now because of the AI. So I said to myself, just be honest and tell what you want, and this is what you can offer, and this is what you're doing. So
Yeah,
I just did. So that's why we are here right now in my podcast. So
amazing.
yes, and thank you so much, by the way, for joining me again.
Yeah.
And talking about mentorship, how has mentorship become the most crucial part in your career, and how does it affect you and
Yes.
growing your business?
Yeah. So, I mean, you touched on two, I mean, super great lessons for people that coincide with being, looking for mentors. One was, I have a rule: if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yes.
So you have to ask. And what's the worst that can happen? They say no. Okay, like no harm done. And you touched on that. Like asking is so important, and you'll find that you get a lot more yeses than you think you will. So
Yes.
that relates to mentors about asking people to be a mentor, right? And the other one that I really liked that you talked about, and it's another rule of mine, is just always be sincere. Just be yourself, right?
Yes.
Don't try and be somebody you're not,
Yes.
because again, with that human connection, people like people who are just sincerely themselves.
Yes.
And if this is sincerely who I am, and I then want to look for and ask for mentorship, then you'll have a better chance of people saying yes. And so you touched on really two great points that I love to live by as well. So thank you for sharing that story. With mentors, how it continues to shape is, there isn't anybody in the world, even if they say they do, that knows everything, right?
Yes.
So, Google's pretty good, and so is ChatGPT. They're starting to know a lot of stuff, but as humans, we've just got to understand that we just continually have opportunities to learn. Every day we have opportunities to learn something new. And so we need to look for those sources. And so, yes, we have better technology today. I mean, when internet was invented, absolutely that changed the course of our knowledge. Um, and Google, and now we have AI, which accelerates our access to knowledge. But while it accelerates our access to knowledge, if we only use AI, we start to lose our human connection, and we become more lonely as a result, not as connected with the human race. And really, that's where we get a lot of fulfillment, in our hearts. And
Yes.
so, looking for, and interacting with people and people that know more in certain areas, mentors, is it also allows us to connect to, the human element of growth. And so, always being mindful. Last year, my wife and I went to a seminar that was local here, put on by EO, and the speaker, who I've heard before, I think is phenomenal. And I'll call him out. His name is Warren Rustand. He's out of the US. Very high level businessman, much more successful than myself. And I was just really taken by his approach because, again, my approach has always been about humans helping humans. And he helps people like on a whole other level. Like unbelievable what he's done for people all over the world and even to the point where he's walking into he tells a story about walking into a store and there is a homeless person outside the store and he ends up having a conversation, inviting him back to his house, meets his family, gets him set up with a friend of his. And he says, 2 years or 3 years later, he checks in to see how he's doing. And he started his own business. And I mean, I like this guy is incredible. So afterwards, he talked about how he mentors some people. And he has criteria for selecting who he mentors. And I said to my wife, I'm going to ask him if he has any room to be our mentor. And so after the seminar, I got his information and I reached out to him, and he's now one of our mentors. So we just saw the opportunity that maybe his office actually said he's not taking any more people right now, but he got a recommendation. I got a referral from a friend of mine, and he said, "Yeah, I'd like to take you on as a couple, and I'll mentor you." So that was just we just started with him this year. So we're always looking for new people to help us in different areas. We have a business that we're growing, and I've been through a lot in business now over the years, but new day, new thing to learn, and so there's always things to help us grow. So always want to make sure that I have people in my network that I can go and get advice from or problem solve with or learn new concepts. I'm not very good at technology, and so I said, well, I need to be better, with all the AI and stuff. My wife's quite good with technology. So I had her teach me, how to use Chat GPT when it came out and use it for different things. I'm actually using it to write. I published a book a couple of years ago, a business
Wow.
book, and I'm looking. I've got another one I'm going to publish, and I'm writing two more, but I'm using
Wow.
some facts from Chat GPT now. So I'm
Yes.
using AI to help fact check a bunch of concepts in my book. So there's always things to continue to use in your network for.
Yes, exactly right. And congratulations about your book
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
good luck with what you're working on right now with your book. So,
Thank you.
with all of the highs, business, career, scaling, we all know that there are always lows. So,
Yes.
what was the lowest point in your life that changed you or something that lives inside you until right now?
Thanks for asking me. And it's why I wrote the book, quite frankly. So in 2017, when I left my own company, and I was all of a sudden standing on the outside of this company that I spent 20 years building, obviously a very low point for me, and I I needed to understand why I was standing on the outside. It was supposed to be my retirement plan, and I spent 2 years looking at myself in the mirror. Why did this happen? What led me to this? And what I realized was, as the founder and the I was president and chair of the board. I was pushing all the decisions. So I was making the decisions. We need a new board. We need smarter people on our board, and we need to merge with this other big company. And when I started getting to a place where I was having arguments with the board and I was kind of an outside opinion, I realized that was all my decision. So, what got me here today outside of my company was because I made all those decisions. I can't blame other people that disagreed with me. I can't blame any of the people that caused conflict or did things I didn't like in the company because I made decisions to get to where we were. So I realized after a lot of thinking and self-reflection that I was in control of those decisions. That's why I'm in this position. So I have to take full accountability on why I'm here and not place blame anywhere else. And that was actually very freeing for me because I realized I am in control of my decisions. So I control my destiny. I control where I go
Yes.
from here. Um, the other thing I realized was what got me to that point was I I became overconfident. Okay. I became overconfident in my decision making because from when I took over the company from my parents, with all that growth, it seemed like I couldn't make a bad decision.
Yeah.
Every time I made a decision, it worked out wonderfully. And we were a celebrated company, lots of awards. Um, we had an amazing company culture, and we just kept getting all these awards and growing. And so when we got to making some of the big decisions at the end, I just there were red flags. There were things that were over here saying look out, and I ignored them because I said, look, my track record of making good decisions, look how good it is. And so I became overconfident, and the little warning signs that I ignored eventually became so big. That's why I was on the outside of my company. So for you learning English, and you do very well, there
Thank you
is a
so much.
word called hubris, hubris. And the word, and I didn't know it really before, hubris, and sorry, hubris, and it means to be overconfident. And when you're overconfident, you start to ignore signals.
Yes.
And one example I use is the Titanic, when the Titanic ship sunk because they had hubris. Our ship's unsinkable. And of course, it hit an iceberg and sunk. They had hubris. And I ended up obviously having the same problem. I was overconfident. And so that is my biggest life lesson is never get to a stage where you're overconfident and ignoring everything else because that could be a very dangerous path. Always make sure that you're looking for all the risks as well as the rewards so that
Yes.
you're going towards success, but you're also making sure that you're managing any possible risks so that you don't fall what I call down any pitfalls of business or of life. So that
Exactly
would
right.
absolutely be my biggest life lesson because it was a very low couple of years for sure.
Yes, exactly right. And do you believe in God?
I do, yes.
Christian. You're a Christian.
Yes, I'm not practicing. I'm not any one religion, but I do believe. Yeah.
Yes, of course. So, um, I really admire your, your resilience and the shifting because what's happened to us, it's how we respond to it, right? Because we don't know how and what will gonna come. It's just how we respond to things. Because sometimes if something happens to us, negative things happen to us, if we respond in a negative way again, negative things just keep on coming, right?
That's right.
But if
Yeah.
there's negative things that comes when we do positive things and we just think different way, we'll have the solution will just come out. right? Am
Right.
I saying it right? Does that make sense?
Yes, for sure. Yes.
Yeah. By the way, do you believe in the law of attraction?
100%. It's my favorite law.
All right. So,
Yes.
and Nick, for the last message, what message can you give us, people who are watching this video, like in their 20s or young generation? What are your
Yes.
advice you can give to them in our generation right now? Because it's kind of different than before, right?
Yes, it is. Yes,
All right.
absolutely. Um, so I would say some of the things that we've been talking about is there is a, book called Mindset, and the author is Carol Dweck, Mindset. And she talks about the difference between open mindset and closed mindset. And open mindset or closed mindset is this is the way it is. I am the way I am. Like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You know, if this is the way things are, I just have to. That is it, and there's no way of changing it. And an open mindset is being open to learning, being open to getting feedback from other people. That's how we can learn. Being open to understanding mistakes are human. That's okay. Making a mistake is a great opportunity for growth, right? You can learn from those. You learn more from mistakes than from successes. So the open mindset is being open to, I'm human and I can take all this information in because it helps me. And a closed mindset is don't tell me things that aren't my opinion. Uh, don't try and tell me I can improve some way because the ego gets in the way of don't hurt my ego by saying I didn't do that as good as I could have, or here's a way to improve. That's a closed mindset. And so, really important if you want to grow and be the best you can be in whatever is successful for you, is understand and be open mindset to accept everything that's coming in. It will be the big part of the law of attraction that you're talking about, because if you're open, you will
Yes.
see things. You will see opportunities that if you're closed, you won't see, right? So that's that law of attraction where if I'm open, I want to, and you're attracting more because you're more aware of things. You're more aware of opportunities. They're coming to you saying, "Oh, we had an interesting conversation. You said something. I was open to what you said. That's an opportunity for me." And so, really important. Doesn't matter what you want to do in your life, what success looks like to you. Being open mindset is a path towards that law of attraction and to going to the places that you want to go. And with the way technology is going, the second piece of advice is always remember that humans are where we get our connection from in our heart and our soul, and not from technology. Technology helps us. It's more efficient. It helps us connect across the world like we are right
Yes.
now. But our conversation, human to human, is what really helps us grow, from the heart. So always make sure that the human connection is number one. It's the most important thing, the who. So those would be my two biggest pieces of advice.
All right. Thank you so much, Nick. That is a powerful advice. And you know what? That's one of the advice that most of us are needed right now because of the overwhelming things of social media. And a
I
lot of
agree.
people right now, because of a lot of information, when we get frustrated or we get overwhelmed on one thing, we are going to look for another thing.
That's
So,
right.
a part of not being patient, because law of attraction is also um, telling us to be patient, and yeah, so it's all connected. So thank you
It
so
sure
much,
is.
Nick.
Thank you.
I really love our conversation right now. I hope we can extend more, but I really appreciate you, and I know there are things that we need to do after this. All right, but thank you
Lovely.
so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
And bye bye, everyone. God bless you all.
Yes.